My name is Messi Clark, and I learned the hard way that family can betray you with a smile or with a text message that feels like it was carved from ice. It happened on a Tuesday morning, so ordinary, I didn't even bother to open the curtains. I rolled over, grabbed my phone, and there it was, a message from my sister, Janet. Don't bother showing up to the wedding. It's not your day. No explanation, no apology, just a cold, clinical dismissal, like removing me from her life was nothing more than deleting an extra line from a spreadsheet. The worst part? I didn't even cry. I laughed. A hollow, stunned laugh that didn't sound like it belonged to me. Because after 29 years of being the family's invisible backbone, maybe I shouldn't have been surprised. I rolled out of bed, walked straight to my computer, and booked a flight to Hawaii. No overthinking, no dramatic breakdown, just a clean, quiet severing of the leash I'd been dragging since childhood. If you think that's dramatic, trust me, it was only the beginning. Growing up in the house of perfect lies. People loved the Clarks. Our neighbors constantly said stuff like, "Such a beautiful family. Your daughters are just perfect together. You raised them so well." If only they knew. Our lives were a choreographed performance, matching outfits, rigid smiles, flawless Christmas cards reproduced annually like a corporate branding campaign. Inside the house, reality was different. There was Janet, my older sister, the princess, the glowing one, the conversational centerpiece of every family gathering. She had a laugh that filled rooms and a personality our parents polished like a trophy. And then there was me, messy, quiet, observant, carrying every task no one else wanted to do. The girl who cleaned up after Janet's high school parties. The girl who was always told to be understanding because Janet was under pressure, emotional, just having a hard week, or the star of the family. My parents, Mr. and Mrs. Clark, never meant to be cruel, but cruelty doesn't always come from intention. Sometimes it comes from habit. And in their habit, I was the helper, the fixer, the background character whose value came from what she could carry for everyone else. Why I offered to plan her wedding. By the time Janet got engaged, I had built something I was finally proud of, my own event planning company, a real one, with clients who paid me, who thanked me, who respected me. Janet knew that. So when she got engaged to Jamie, she didn't ask me to plan her wedding. She expected me to. And of course, I agreed. Maybe because I wanted to be useful. Maybe because I wanted, for once, my parents to see me as more than a spare daughter. Maybe because I still believed that helping Janet would mean something. So I spent 6 months designing mood boards, negotiating with vendors, drafting timelines, scouting venues, fixing every crisis she created, paying deposits out of my own business account. I didn't charge her, didn't invoice her, didn't even ask for credit. I told myself it was love. But deep down, beneath the layers of spreadsheets and to-do lists, there lived a small voice I kept ignoring. No matter what you do, they will never choose you. The first crack in the fantasy. It happened on a random Wednesday night. Janet texted me, "BTW, can you cover the florist's final invoice? Your deposit didn't cover everything." No greeting, no explanation, just the assumption that I would pick up the slack. I stared at the message, my stomach tightening. I typed back, "I already covered my part. I can't pay more." Her reply arrived within seconds. "Don't be dramatic, it's just money." My breath caught in my chest. To her, of course, it was just money because she never had to earn any of it. The crack widens. A few days later, I spoke to my mom, hoping, foolishly, for validation. "Mom, Janet wants me to pay another invoice I wasn't supposed to." She sighed, rubbing her temples like I was giving her stress. "Messy, you know your sister is overwhelmed. If you can help, you should help." There it was, the family anthem. Help her, protect her, cater to her, quiet down, carry more. Never mind that I'd already spent thousands. Never mind that I was running a business. Never mind that I wasn't even being treated like a sister anymore, just like a convenient, unpaid employee. Then Dad called. I remember the moment vividly. I was sitting at my desk, editing a color palette for the reception decor when my phone buzzed. "Sweetheart," Dad boomed in his cheerful voice, "your mother and I are collecting money for Janet and Jamie's wedding gift. We're all pitching in to help with the down payment on their first home. Your share is $2,000. You can transfer it to me tonight." I froze. "Dad, I'm not even invited to the wedding anymore." There was a pause before his tone sharpened. "Don't make this about you. This is family. Don't punish your sister over a small seating decision." A small seating decision. As if excluding me from the entire wedding was nothing more than a minor hiccup. I didn't know it then, but that conversation marked the beginning of the end. Because that night, alone in my apartment, surrounded by the contracts I'd been managing for months, I realized something that changed everything. Every vendor contract, the venue, the caterer, the florist, was signed under my business name. Not Janet's, not my parents', not Jamie's. Mine. The final balances were due in 1 week. If the payment wasn't made, the contracts became void, which meant the wedding didn't belong to Janet. It belonged to me. I didn't react immediately. I didn't rage. I didn't cry. I simply sat there, breathing in the quiet truth of it. For the first time in my life, I had power. Real power. Not over Janet's feelings, not over my parents' approval, but over something tangible. Something they assumed they owned because I had built it for them. They were wrong. And for the first time ever, I wasn't going to fix their mistake. The morning after everything collapsed, I woke up to a soft breeze drifting through my open window. Hawaii's sunlight spilled across the sheets, warm and gold, like nothing in my old life had ever been. For a moment, I just laid there still, breathing, calm. A version of myself I had never known finally had space to exist. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. I didn't want to look, but curiosity tugged. When I turned it over, I nearly laughed. 34 missed calls, 19 voicemails, 52 messages, all from the same people who once acted like I didn't exist. For months, years really, I would have jumped at the chance to make them proud, to fix things, to smooth the cracks and glue the pieces together. But now, I felt nothing but distance. Distance and peace. I scrolled not to reply, but to see how far they had fallen now that their safety net, me, was gone. The voicemails. I played the most recent one. Janet's voice came through, cracked and sharp. "Janet's just so sweet. Janet, this isn't funny anymore. Jamie's parents think this is my fault. They left the rehearsal because there was no venue, no food, no music, nothing. A crash in the background. Then her sobs, high and frantic. You don't understand. Jamie is furious. He said he doesn't even know if he wants to go through with the wedding tomorrow. Another voice, my mother, snapped in the distance. Stop crying, Janet. This is what happens when your sister destroys everything. And then my father. Messi, pick up this phone. You will fix this right now. I paused the voicemail. The silence around me felt gentle, like a blanket. For the first time, their chaos wasn't mine to carry. The wedding day, their version. Late afternoon, a text from my cousin popped up. OMG, you won't believe this. Janet's wedding is in someone's backyard. Plastic chairs, no flowers, no music, nothing. They're literally eating supermarket cupcakes. People are leaving. It's bad. I mean, bad. A photo came next. Janet in a wrinkled dress, mascara streaks, Jamie looking like he regretted every decision that brought him there. My mother scowling in the background. It didn't feel like victory. It felt like truth finally stepping out from behind all the lies. When I flew home a week later, I expected yelling, or maybe cold silence, but instead, something stranger happened. Nothing. No one showed up at my apartment. No one knocked on my door. The Clarks had gone quiet. A few days later, my father finally called. His voice was distant, tired, smaller than I had ever heard. Messi, we need to talk. I waited. He swallowed hard before continuing. Jamie called off the honeymoon. They're figuring things out. Janet is devastated. Your mother is still in shock. But, a long breath. I suppose we should have treated you better. We just never thought you would actually walk away. I closed my eyes. There it was, the truth behind everything. They thought I would stay because I always had, because I was predictable, silent, useful. I didn't walk away, I said calmly. You pushed me. Another silence. Then a soft, broken, I know. It wasn't an apology, not a real one, but it was the closest he had ever come. And maybe the closest he ever would. Janet's message. 2 days later, Janet finally reached out herself. Not a rant, not an insult, just one line. I never realized how much I needed you until you weren't there. I stared at the screen for a long minute. Then I turned my phone off. Some messages don't need replies because replying just reopens wounds that need to finally heal. A new beginning. Time passed. Weeks, then months. My business flourished. Without the emotional drain of my family's constant chaos, I booked bigger clients, higher paying events, destination weddings with clients who actually respected the work I did. People who saw me. I hired 2 assistants, rented a bigger office, and even partnered with a floral designer who told me, "You've got something other planners don't. You don't just make events, you make people feel safe." I didn't tell her how I learned that skill. Some lessons are carved too deep to explain. Facing them again. 6 months later, my grandmother's birthday pulled the family together in the same room for the first time since the wedding that never was. When I walked into my grandmother's house, Janet froze mid-conversation. My mother stiffened. My father looked anywhere but at me. And then my grandmother, tiny, fragile, wise, took my hand gently and whispered, "I'm proud of you, Messie. You stopped letting them break you." Her voice shook, but her eyes didn't. I said quietly, "She loves you." She replied, "I know. The problem is, your parents loved the version of you that never said no." I laughed under my breath because she was right. Janet eventually approached me, slow steps, eyes wide and watery. She whispered, "I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm asking how to make sure I never become that person again." I didn't hug her. I didn't cry. I didn't pretend everything was fine. But I nodded once because it was a start, a small one, but real. The real ending. Walking home that night, streetlights glowing on warm pavement, I felt something I had never felt before. Not vindicated, not superior, free. Free from being the fixer, free from being the doormat, free from carrying a family that refused to carry me back. And as the wind rustled the trees overhead, I heard my grandmother's voice again. Your worth isn't in what you give away. It's in what you finally keep for yourself. I kept my dignity, my peace, my boundaries, my life. And that, more than ruining a wedding, more than reclaiming my business, more than anything, was the greatest revenge I could ever have hoped for.